There we go. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Doing great. Just got off a call. Like a short call of like talking about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie and of how apparently it's like the worst thing, the worst thing.
Wow.
Like damn, like I'm like it was like some one of a pal of mine knew he was just like saying how he saw the movie because it comes out earlier in the UK and and yeah he just destroyed it like. I feel kind of sad because like 8 years for that, but Jesus. But yeah, what's up? What are you doing?
Not too much. Just uh, just got off work, so not too much really going on at the moment.
Nice. Well, so yeah, I'm like like a decent, so like a somewhat, watcher of your channel, and like I like your, your aptitude for, just spreading positivity on the books you review, like.
Try to
You're
at least. I don't know how successful I am in that.
you're basically like Mahler, but like for books, basically. Uh,
Thank you.
you're a fellow lawman. You're like a fellow lawman fan. I see.
Dude, I'm the literary long man.
Not your latest or one of your latest videos was like 7 hours long.
7.5, and yeah, the Lightlark review. I was not planning on that actually being even half as long as that ended up being, but there were just so many problems compounded with so many problems. It's just like once you start talking, you can't stop dissecting all of the varied issues the book had.
I was like, yeah, I'm actually like that video. I actually started that video like a month ago. I'm still watching it to this day. It's taking me that long, yeah. But Jesus, yeah, that book is so like that. I think that book kind of gave me like a like it gave me like a existential fear because I told you in the DMs I'm like a up and coming author I used to be a I don't even know what I was back then but like now I want to be like a author, but then when I saw like Lightlark I was like, oh, this could be me. It's got like an existential crisis there for like just a tiny bit, but gee, yeah, like it's like Lightlark, it kind of like suffers from like most other fantasies though. Like I like fantasy just seems like such a fickle genre. Like I don't know, like a lot of these fantasy books just kind of seem like Drek. I don't know if you know what I'm saying.
I mean, oftentimes, yes, the core issue really comes down to a lack of discipline because you'll get authors who have all of these neat ideas but don't understand where they should really be trimming anything. So they, instead of like trying to structure a good story or an inviting world or anything, they just throw everything together regardless of how well it actually fits. There are some ideas that really work in Lightlark that I think could have been explored, um, or focused on differently, but their usage was incredibly shallow, and they don't actually state anything to develop the world. They, in fact, oftentimes conflict things within the world. The place of mirrors, for example, canceling out curses apparently because Astra wrote herself into a corner. She needed an environment where both Oro and Grimdark, whatever, could both be, but because one's allergic to sunlight, the other's allergic to night light. I don't know. Um, the only way she could do that is if she has a place that cancels out curses. But that raises the questions: why don't the Starlings go there? Because they all die at 25.
This is some riveting story.
Guys, it's so badly thought out.
Apart from Lightlark, like I know there's like other stuff in your channel, but actually, would you say Lightlark is the worst thing you've ever seen in your life or read in your
Oh
life?
God, no. Lightlark. I at least have some positives that I can say about Lightlark.
So, so what's like the let's stick with books like because that's like the thing. But like, what's like the worst book you've ever like read ever apart from
Reaper's
Empress?
Creek.
Apart from Empress series,
Reaper's Creek.
Raper never heard of it.
It's one of Onision's books.
Oh, Ooh, Onision.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Onision. That's like a whole fun fact about Onision. He if you go check the Rate My Music website, Onision is like the top 3 worst.
I would believe it.
It's either that or it's Onision, then Onision, then Nostalgia Critics The Wall, and then Onision again. Yeah, it's just, but yeah, it's still like Onision. So like, but what's that? But I don't know much about Onision's books. Like, I know their shit, but like I don't know like. Yeah. So what's that one about?
Reaper's Creek is his weird ass god level power fantasy where it turns out he's like God's brother or something somehow. Or no, God's nephew. That's right. Because real God is actually a woman that current God like banished or something. It makes no fucking sense. And there's a particular reason why I consider that one the worst because let me put it this way: there is a scene that would appeal to the likes of Jeffrey Epstein.
What the fuck? So
Yeah.
like pedo shit.
Yeah. In which he doesn't go into graphic detail because I don't think he's capable of it, but he does detail a 12-year-old getting laid.
Was it like straight up rape though, or was it like
I mean, statutory in that way, yes, but not non-consensual.
Damn. Okay. Well, yeah, that's still pretty bad.
It's incredibly messed up. I'm appalled that
it doesn't help that Onision has like all those allegations.
Oh god, no, that makes it so much worse. But I don't think he has enough self-awareness to realize that he shouldn't have done that. Because he's not explicit about the age, but like if you're paying attention, it's like, but wait, I thought.
Okay. So yeah, Reaper. Why do you say Reaper's Creek is the worst book you've ever read like in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's Onision. To be honest, a lot of YouTuber books be like this sometimes.
Oftentimes. I mean, there are some YouTubers that actually know what they're doing. Daniel Green, for example, I think his latest book is actually a lot of fun. And I was invited. I don't know if I should say the other YouTuber's name. I was invited to beta read another YouTuber's book. It's sci-fi, and I thought it was wonderful. I'd give it like a 9 out of 10.
Well, what was the first guy you said? Daniel what? So I can like
Daniel Green.
Daniel, that name sounds familiar. Is he related to like John Green and Hank Green?
Not that I'm aware of, but he does fantasy news on YouTube. Cool guy.
Oh, I know this guy. I know. I know this guy. Yeah, I've seen him. I watch him. I don't know. I lapsed there. And the other guy was Bader. Who?
Oh no, I'm withholding the other person's name.
Oh, okay. So I know Daniel Green. Oh, he made a King Killer video. Ooh. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. But yeah, Daniel. Yeah, I watch Daniel Green. But like oftentimes the YouTuber books are kind of like don't even get me started on Shane's books. Like,
I've got one of Shane's books. I'm not sure which one. It's I've got a small shelf of really terrible books upstairs in my house.
I don't even know what that list is. like I kind of want to know.
I mean, more times than not, unfortunately, the YouTuber books are pretty awful. There's I don't want to have like a negative opinion going into it, but I've been told I've had a lot of people request that I read Jenna Moressi's The Savior's Champion as well, and what was the other one? Meglatour's the Cyborg Tinkerer.
I've heard that second one.
Yeah, like I want to go into those blind, so I'm not like doing any research beforehand. I want the books to be able to speak for themselves, but
yeah, that makes sense. Well, I assume if I do become like a big YouTuber, then I guess I hope I don't fall into that curse. So fucking.
the problem is a lot of people don't really understand the dedication or time it takes to write a book properly. I mean, the manuscript I've been working on for a couple of years at this point. Like I'm on draft 7.
Jesus.
That's what it takes.
You don't gotta say like the summary, but is that are you doing what's like the genre or as you said in your Light Lark video, the way people market things now is basically you got to say like, whoa, this is like The Walking Dead meet, like, you know what I'm saying, like, how would you like, if you were to use that kind of like terminology or marketing, then how would you describe without like saying the synopsis of your
I believe the way that I've been phrasing it is Avatar: The Last Airbender meets the SCP Foundation.
What the fuck? Damn.
Yeah.
What the fuck's happening? Damn, what the hell's happening? Now I'm intrigued. The better. I'm assuming it's a beefy ass book then.
Not terribly beefy, but it is going to be a 5-book series.
Yeah. Okay. I suspected. So
I think it's like it's larger than like it's a sizable book. I'm at about 129,000 words for the first book.
Ooh. Okay, that's a lot.
I believe the other books are going to be a bit larger.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm assuming it's a fantasy thing then because you said Avatar.
Contemporary fantasy.
Okay. I'm actually writing a fantasy. Well, I'm actually technically a published author already, but don't read the first book, please. Please don't. That book was just me, kind of just there's this phrase, right, that is also often associated with writers. That like writers are never really happy, like because when they write their second book or their third book, they're gonna be like, oh, damn, why didn't I write like this before? Oh, damn, I so sucked so much. I'm kind of in that phase now because I published the first book, right, but I'm writing the second book, which they're like unrelated. It's like a one shot. So then when I'm writing the second book, I'm like, damn, my first book sucks. It's so ass. And also just like the ideas I have for like because I have like just piles and piles of notes for like other projects, and I'm just like, damn, these are so much better idea than like the ideas that like the thought process for coming up with these projects was so much better than like the first book. So yeah, don't read that first one, please. So I guess this second book is actually just gonna be my actual attempt at fucking publishing. So it's a fantasy too. It's about it's basically just your classic like, oh, we gotta stop the evil ruler type thing, but this time, but we're gonna make it unique. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if I were to put it in the thing you say, it's like, how do I say this? It's like Infinity Blade meets Sandman. Yeah, you like the Sandman the comics.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that.
Okay.
I'm like about 305 pages in. I'm like that's like 60-70%. Who knows how much redrafts I have to do though. So, but I'd say I'm like relatively close to finishing it. I think I'll like start posting progress on my fucking Twitter or Instagram if it comes to that. But yeah, that's kind of what's going on here. But so wait, so how long have you been working on the drafts on that thing?
Depends on how far back you want to go. I've been tinkering with the core idea for probably since college, but I've redrafted it and I actually completely rewrote the manuscript at one point. I had one baseline manuscript that kind of matches the current manuscript, but there were so many foundational errors in it that I found I needed to just start from ground zero, and so I just rewrote the entire thing a couple of years ago. As far as the current draft, I've probably been working on that dedicated about 5 or 6 years. I mean, the timeline itself, 5 or 6 years doesn't really denote quality or anything. I'm just at this point having a hard time finding an agent.
Damn. That's like almost a decade. That's like almost a decade.
Half of one.
Shit. Jesus. Well, yeah, quality. I mean, sometimes it takes that long. Like, I know she's not a good example anymore, but J.K. Rowling, she took like 8 years to fucking make Philosopher's Stone, apparently. And Mark Danielewski, he took like 10 to write House of Leaves. Ignoring all of the weird, like trans shit with J.K. Rowling, what's like your actual opinion on like Harry Potter? Like, right, like, because the more I think about it, I think I don't like it anymore. I don't, I like ignoring like J.K. Like, I don't like the series is actually just objectively shit, to be honest.
If you separate the author from everything and you just judge the story based on its own merits and quality, it's still really good. I would argue. I think a lot of people are just pissed off at Rowling for, you know, some of the stuff she said, and I'm not going to fault them for that, of course.
Yeah, like,
But at the
honestly,
same time, it feels like what people are trying to do is they're trying to um, like drag down everything that she's ever done, even though years ago they were singing praises about the entire series. And granted, there are plot holes, there are mistakes in Harry Potter. I think it's the end of book 4 when Harry witnesses
Cedric.
um, uh, Edward Cullen.
Yeah, Cedric. Yeah, Cedric
What?
Diggory. That's
Thank you, Cedric. When Harry watches Cedric die, he should be able to see the Thestrals leading the carriages outside of Hogwarts, but he doesn't.
Yeah, they were introduced in book 5.
In book 5, and that's something that could have been written around. Like Harry was led a different way down the hill because he just had something really traumatic happen, and maybe Hagrid or any number of people could have just taken him a different route down to the train station, or even taken him home entirely to make sure that he was okay. And like, there you go. You avoid the Thestral problem entirely. That being said, I think Harry Potter still has a lot of merit, still has a lot of creativity, still has a lot of imagination in it.
It does. It does. I can still agree with that. But like the amount of I don't think it aged that well. Like some of the character writing and stuff. The fact that there's just like a gazillion spells that like really hurts the story, because like it just falls into the problem of, oh, but why didn't they just fucking use the like or like, oh, and also Voldemort, like seeing what villains are now. Voldemort is just not a compelling villain. Like, he's just, I'm evil. I do evil things. And also just utter shit. And also like the main three, they're iconic, yes, but they're not like super, like they're not really anything, to be honest. I mean, Harry, I kind of get it. He's like the audience surrogate, but Ron Weasley, especially in the movies, they really screwed him over in the movies. And yes, and just shit like that. Like, it kind of make me, and also like just a lot of like the weird kind of like, I don't know how to explain this, but just like the shit with the Dursleys, like that shit kind of gets me like, JK, what are you saying? Like, JK, what are you saying right now? Like,
You mean like the abuse?
yeah, like because it's like I watch, like, apart from doing like my own thing, I watched a video series from this YouTuber named Procrasti Tara, who's another like a fellow long man.
Oh, yeah, I know her. She's cool.
Yeah, so I watched a bit of her, like, her Harry Potter series, and I was like, ooh, yeah. Well, yeah, what the fuck is JK talking about? So yeah, like,
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that particular aspect. I mean, granted, the Dursleys, weren't really good people and weren't held in the
it's a
best
weird,
light.
it's like a weird thing that I can't explain. I can't remember exactly. Like, I'll get back on you on that one. But like, it's like some weird thing that JK like implied about, like, I don't know. Like, it's fucking weird. I can't remember, but it was something about like that. Also just like the general, at least like in the books, at least like the general structure, like the way it's written. It's like kind of weird. Like, like sentences go on for too long, and also like shit like that. It's not that it's terribly written. It's just like, you know, like,
I think when you start getting down, like you can make that argument for a number of books. God knows I've complained about Ulysses and James Joyce in general for exactly that reason. But the formatting wasn't really something that ever really bothered me with Harry Potter. So
yeah,
I
but
don't know.
like yeah, like it's not the worst thing ever. Like some of the best books, like some of the best books even have like errors. Like Jack Reacher, like there's a lot of weird line errors, but it's just something like, you know, to
Jack
keep.
Reacher's just got problems foundationally because he's a Gary Stew.
Yeah, he's a Gary Stu, but he's my Gary Stu. So no, I'm kidding. Um, but yeah, like just so shit like Jack Reacher, there's like, you know, like weird line errors and shit. But it's something, and even The Witcher, like there's like some weird ass like, you know, errors like that. But like it's just still something to keep note of. But overall, like I don't think Harry Potter is like ass. Like it's not like kill my I'm gonna kill myself like that. But it is definitely like growing, like it is getting like worse in my mind. Oh, and like another problem is like the lore of Harry Potter. It's like, how do I explain this? It's like expansive, right? Like, or like it's like it like gives the illusion of it being expansive, but in reality it's just like kind of nothing. Like I don't know how to explain that, but it's just like the same. It's just kind of like the same thing over and over again.
To a point, it doesn't have the same detail that you'd find in like Lord of the Rings. That is a fucking rich history. Um, I think the problem with Harry Potter's lore is that the initial stuff we got was good, but then Rowling had to keep on expanding and expanding in ways that didn't really reflect with anything that was in the books. And this is something that I will criticize her on. Dumbledore being gay, for example. Now, if he's gay, cool, no problem with that. But at no point was that ever mentioned in any degree of substance within the books. And then she started getting weird with it. Hey, did you know that wizards used to poop in the streets and then would vanish it? I'm not even making that one up. I wish I was. It's
No,
stupid.
I know. I've seen that one. That was funny.
And that's without breaking down some of the stuff that's happened since the Fantastic Beasts movie, which all like, goddamn, what the fuck are they doing with those? Am I
Oh,
allowed to swear on this?
bro, I can't like no joke. I felt like I was tearing up just a tiny bit when I watched the third one because I was like, "What the fuck is this? What the
Dude.
fuck is this?"
Okay, I got to relate my personal example. So we saw the first movie, my now fiance and I.
Mhm.
We saw the first one, and it was like, okay, you know,
It was like, it was
it's not
hype.
bad. There was something to it. It wasn't the most standout story, but hey, at least we got a story where a Hufflepuff actually does something.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I forget
and
it was
then
like,
it wrapped up. And you got to understand, my fiance is a big Harry Potter fan. She has a Harry Potter tattoo.
is she still
For
is she still a Harry Potter fan like to this day?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Uh,
Um, anyway, we go in to watch the second movie, and then you've got I don't even remember his name, like Abelcor or whatever.
Aberforth.
I promise I don't care.
Who are you?
Um,
Who are you trying to? Who are you?
like he steps out dramatically because they're taking Grindelwald off in a carriage, and so Abernathy steps out,
Wow.
and like it's this big imposing moment, and I cannot for the life of me remember who the hell he was.
Who are you trying to say? Like, are you talking about Ezra Miller?
No,
Oh,
um, which was that was another problem. It was like, what the hell? You died.
he also died in the third movie, but we ain't gonna talk about that.
Whatever. Um, no, I'm talking about like the boss of the ministry or whatever he was. The guy who ended up betraying the wizards for Grindelwald, like in the first scene, and helped them break out. I
Yeah.
wish I could remember his stupid name.
Yes, I mean, that's his name. Yes, his name is just yes.
Anyway, so he steps out. I'm like, who the hell is that? My fiance has to explain. He was like, the girl who was kind of flirting with Newt in the first movie.
Lita Lestrange.
No.
Oh.
Anyway, her boss was
Uh-huh.
this guy. God, I should just call her and get this guy's name. Whatever. Um. Anyway, he steps out. I don't know who he is, and then other things start happening. And I'm like, why can't I remember anything from the first movie? Is it really that forgettable? Are these characters really that bland? Ezra Miller steps in. Wait, what are you doing here? You died.
Apparently, apparently in the first movie, this is such a blink and you'll miss a detail. So like, fuck you, JK. But like, it's like fuck you, JK, rolling for this. But apparently in the first movie, when fucking Ezra Miller straight up kamikaze, like he suicide bombed straight up. That there was a moment where there was like a dark speck, like a dark spectral like thing, like black shit that was like flying through the air, and that was supposed to be the indication of him surviving.
I don't know. That sounds like a stretch.
I know.
But the entire story, like the rest of the fucking movie, I'm sitting around. I'm like, okay, where is this going? What's the story really about at this point? Because it's supposed to be, fantastic beasts and where to find them. And yeah, you get the occasional beast that does stuff, but like the story's not about them. It doesn't center around any of them. It's like a Harry Potter knockoff featuring the occasional fantastic beast. And then by the end of it, Newt barely does anything in this story to actually affect anything. He's not a protagonist, he's just there.
Yeah, Newt is like, and don't get me wrong, I do like those kind of protagonists, like the protagonist that's like the least important part of the story. Like I think that's like a cool writing thing. But but here's like even worse though, because like this is supposed to be Grindelwald versus Dumbledore. Like, what the fuck is Newt doing here?
I mean,
Like,
ultimately, that's what the thing is supposed to devolve into, but it's just
devolve. But yeah, like, what the fuck? And also,
it's just so bloated with so much extra stuff.
yeah, oh yeah.
And then the third movie fucking happened.
I don't know which one's worse, to be honest, the second one or the third one.
I'm going to argue the third one, because while the second one was an absolute mess and was forgettable, the third one was so overly complicated and filled with moments that just, it made you question the world building entirely. When it starts to fracture the lore, that's where I've got a problem, because now you're telling me that these wizards, this magical band of like whatever, like enlightened weirdos, base their entire political system
off a deer,
on the opinion of a baby deer.
Yeah.
Like, legit. The criticism that we got in Monty Python and the Holy Grail about watery tarts tossing out swords would make a more appealing legal system.
And what's worse is that when Grindelwald got elected by I know it was a fake deer, but like when he got elected, like supposedly the deer chooses who's like the most pure of heart or whatever. Right. But then freaking when the deer chose Grindelwald was like, yes, we're gonna kill all the we're gonna kill everyone. Like, this is the pure of heart. I shouldn't the people be like, hey, that's not pure of heart. Like, the first thing he said was like, yeah, we're gonna kill the Muggles. Like, okay, like that's not like, I don't think that's pure of heart, but I don't know. No one questioned it. Like, it's just like, okay,
someone tampered with the voting machine.
I mean, literally. So yeah, that was something. Oh, and also, another thing about the third film is, God, like, wow, they really screwed over Tina Goldstein. Yeah. Like, she just straight up died in that film. Like, she just never appears except to like
I don't remember, like, okay, I think you're right, because I can't recall her ever showing up. Did they never give an explanation for that? Like, did she actually die, or did they just were they not able to afford the actor?
This is like the explanation they give is like the most, it's like the most high IQ shit. Like you're gonna be taken aback by the amount of detail that I'm about to give you. I'm gonna flex on you about the detail that you're about to receive. So the grand explanation that they give you on why Tina Goldstein disappeared is she was too busy at work.
Yeah. Okay. World at stake. She's deeply involved with a series of events that could have dire consequences. Her sister has joined an evil cult, and she's too busy.
Yeah, it's the paperwork. It'd be like this sometimes. Like like the deadlines. Like it'd be like this. Like who cares if there's Hitler too, just running around those deadlines are really important. I don't know what to tell you.
I do want to do a dissection of all three of those movies because wow.
Yeah, you can easily make like a 10-hour video on that. I'm not even kidding.
Probably. I mean, just all of them together, just God.
Yeah. Another thing about the Fantastic Beasts, this is a huge plot hole too. But actually, I'm gonna say two things. So in the second film, they were talking about Lita Lestrange. So not only did they never really explain how she had the same last name as the Lestranges, like one of the most powerful families ever, like the sexy ones. Which we can just assume she's related, but I don't know how. But they were giving her so much shit. She had all this rich backstory, she was flirting with Newt, but she ended up dating fucking Theseus, the brother of Newt. And then in the same film they explained her super tragic anime backstory, which was she switched the baby on the ship, which ended up killing. So she killed her own brother, basically. That whole thing. So there was all this, right? All this build up, and then boom, she dies. Oh, she gets fucking incinerated. Okay,
it's just I don't mind the occasional random death in a story in order to reflect how cruel life can be sometimes. George R.R. Martin handles that very effectively, for example.
Yeah.
And so does Joe Abercrombie. But at the same time, for her to have all of that build up 10 minutes before her death scene, it's contract's running up. Better squeeze in all the extra detail we can. Make the audience care about her.
Yeah, at least at least you would have expected in the third film, her sacrifice would do some weird love, the love thing that Harry had, but no, that doesn't even there's just nothing resembling that. She just dies and that's it. Fuck you, kill yourself. Okay. Sure. And the second thing is that if you remember in the second film, Crimes of Grindelwald, Grindelwald just straight up says to I think it was Queenie, he straight up shows her future visions of World War II. But then in the third film, that never ever gets referenced.
True.
So so what was the point of that? It seems like his motivations just changed completely. In the second film, it seemed he's just trying to save the poor wizards from the Muggles because they're gonna do that. But then in the third film, he's I'm gonna kill everyone ever. Even though he said that his goal was to unify the wizards. I mean, yeah, he could have been lying, but no, what that? But then if he was lying, then why did Queenie stay for so long, even though she knew he was lying? Huh? Okay.
We need her to be stupid for the story to advance for later.
Which didn't even matter anyway, because she doesn't do shit in the third film.
It really doesn't.
Yeah, the only 5 characters. That's a lie. The only 4 characters that do shit is Newt, which is outside material, Dumbledore, Grindelwald, and Lolly Hicks, who was that random like black woman, who was in like for most of the third film, even though we have absolutely no idea who she is. She even appears in the second one too, which, but and again, we didn't know shit about her. So yeah, we're just introducing random characters.
Like, I think that trilogy is a really good example why you've got to at least have some idea of what your overall story is going to be. If you're going to make all these connecting non-episodic stories, you actually have to have a plan going forward.
Yeah, like exactly. And it also sucks that the outside world just wanted to see it fail basically. Like it got hit with three three scandals. It got like the first one was the, J.K. Rowling one. The second one was, Amber Heard being such a good wife and girlfriend,
Right.
that was the second scandal. And the third one was Ezra Miller was taking care of the children, as you know. So the three very big scandals like happened all at once, and so yeah, basically this series was never gonna be. It was never gonna happen. Like it was never gonna win, to be honest.
No, and considering what we actually got, it never really deserved it.
Gee, yeah, there's supposed to be 5 movies too. Like I don't. Like,
Right.
honestly, this Fantastic Beasts would have been better as like Indiana Jones, but like magic. Like, yeah, it wouldn't have been like super culturally significant, like as good as Harry Potter, but nothing would be, to be honest. So like sometimes instead of like trying to be the next best thing, just be like, you know what, this is just fun. Let's have some fun. Like sometimes it just be like that. You just want to have some fun, and and because of that energy that you give off, like or like the people would end up liking the film. So if the so like if the Fantastic Beast, like yeah, it could have some ties to like the Grindelwald shit. Um, but if it was like a Indiana Jones kind of thing for like for like those 5 films, then I think people would have liked it more. But it tried so hard to like connect to the big event that was known as the First Wizarding War.
Yeah, I mean you've got at least some potential at that point, but I don't know. I mean, let's not forget how hated Indiana Jones 5 was.
Yeah. What's your opinion on that one?
Straight garbage.
Straight.
I just nothing about that movie was done right.
Also, what the fuck is up with Lucasfilm? Like they did this 3 times already. Like
I think they're intentionally destroying their own property.
Like
at this point, their writing is so bloody incompetent that I refuse to believe this is an accident. This is intentional. They cannot be this stupid.
Yeah, also there's this pattern that they've done like 4 times already. Force Awakens, new main character, young British woman. Rogue One. Okay, Rogue One wasn't that bad, but still, new main character, young British woman.
So Willow. It's the British's fault.
Maybe. Willow. Okay, you probably don't care about Willow, but Willow, young. Another character, that main character is young British woman. Huh? What's happening here? And then Indiana Jones 5. Man, you're never gonna guess what the character archetype is. Young British woman, brunette. By the way, all of them are brown brunette heads.
Mm.
So, not just so. Apart from that, poor Harrison Ford. He's 2 of his most iconic characters just getting desecrated like this. Like, goddamn, bro, feel bad. Actually, so I'm assuming I'm assuming you also just don't like Lucasfilm in general anymore. Like, I'm assuming you're in the I hate Last Jedi with all the passion side of things. Which
I wouldn't say I hate The Last Jedi. I just recognize it for its many, 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 many flaws.
So you're like the closest thing to hating it without actually hating it.
It's not worth the energy to hate it, but it is if I may use this word, objectively bad movie.
So you can understand why people are just like crying. me being one of those people, but um, so. But yeah, but Lucasfilm is just like, God, yeah, I'm blaming the British for this. um, but yeah, Lucasfilm is just so, no, so kind of off topic, but seeing how like you're a writer, what got you into writing? Like, what's like the, like if I were to give my quick story, basically I was basically bored of fighting crime and shit, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna become a writer. Basically, like, yeah, I just didn't. There's like no real deep inspiration for me. I was like, you know, this is kind of fun, so I like, you know, let's make money out of it too. That doesn't mean I have no passion. I'm just like there's just like nothing there really. But what about you?
Actually, this goes back to college. I've always been a big reader ever since I was a kid. um, so I've always had a very voracious appetite when it comes to books, but I've never really put much consideration into writing until college when I met my roommate Ryan, and he, dude was a total nerd, of course. So kindred spirit.
Nice.
And he told me about fan fiction as a concept, and it's like it was all very new to me. This is like early internet days, so it's not as widespread or prevalent as it is now. But he told me about fanfiction.net and a couple stories he's read, and the concept seemed pretty cool. Fan fiction, take the characters of a story you like and start writing your own stories about them. It seemed pretty neat. So I got into that. Turns out it was kind of fun. I posted a few stories and got some good reception on that, and decided to make my own story after a while. After like 6 or 7 years of writing fan fiction, I decided to really make my own story. So,
Yeah. It's a similar thing kind of happened to me, just like a bit less intense. Basically, I was like fighting, like, doing classic vigilante activities. Then, same thing. Fan fiction was like super, it was like all the craze, and I was like, you know what, let's do that. But then I got tired, and I was like, you know what, maybe I should actually fucking make my own shit. Then I met this, kind of similar to you. I met this guy through Discord of all places. He's my arch nemesis, but also it's like enemies to I'll stop. But basically, I met him, and he also wants to be like a writer. He actually has a Twitter account. To like you could follow him there. I'll send you his account if you're interested. But basically, we're basically reading each other's shit as we speak. And I realized that, damn, this guy's better than me. So because I just kept seeing him, I tried to become like a better, like, tried to be like a better writer because I just kept reading his shit. So yeah, that's kind of what happened there. So yeah, similar. He's actually to tell you more about this guy. Actually, let me just send you his name on DMs, so I wouldn't say it here. I mean, it doesn't matter anyways because I fucking said it in ER's video. But where are you? All right, check out this. You just go to this account. Just give me a second. But basically, like, what he's doing, he's also doing like he wants to do like again, like most people for some reason, he wants to do a yeah, I sent you his name. He wants to do a fantasy saga. It seems really interesting too. Like, he, like, basically his strategy, strategy for his, like, the plot synopsis is basically just he's just gonna spam the concept of fire. Like, yes, a lot of stories use fire, but basically he's just gonna go like super autistic detail, as Gundam would say, but like with the concept of fire. So and I actually have the first book on my Word. Like, I basically stole the it's not out yet, but I have like the his draft. And yeah, it's really good. So if you so choose to follow him, then you'll get updates on his fire series. And the reason why, but yeah, basically me and my quote arch nemesis, friend, lover, whichever. Well, we're basically trying to do something grand here, purely because we're kind of mad, right? Basically, we're just kind of tired that like media nowadays is just kind of shit, to be honest. Like, actually, have you noticed that like just everything you've liked at one point just kind of sucks. Like, or at least like the modern writers are just kind of ruining it.
I mean, modern writers definitely have. I mean, the ones that really get a lot of prevalence these days, especially in Hollywood. Like, God, the garbage we've got coming out is appallingly bad. More times than not, it feels. And a lot of the big name writers that are coming out these days, Alex Astor being such a hit on Book Talk, and she wrote one of the most inconsistent, short-sighted books I've ever read. I am looking forward to the sequel for all the wrong reasons.
Is she the one that wrote Lightlark? So I'm not getting lost, or is that
she wrote Lightlark?
Okay, yeah, I got it right. Jesus. Oh, there's gonna be a sequel. Oh God, no.
Yeah, it's coming out in November.
Okay, at least she has a work ethic. I'll give her that.
I mean, to a point.
To a point.
Like, she's willing to put words on paper. She's just not willing to make them, coherent.
I can't wait for your 20-hour plus video on Lightlark 2.
Yeah, we'll see what it turns into.
Actually, your Lightlark video is longer than all of Mulder's videos. How does that feel?
I have outlonged the long man. Blah.
Yeah, you've outlonged. But yeah, I can't wait for. But yeah, like a lot of just modern writers are like anything you can think of just kind of sucks now. Like Terminator, Predator, James Bond, fucking Star Wars, Game of Thrones to an extent. I know House of the Dragon is good, but I feel like it's gonna turn to shit. I don't know. I just get that feeling. Yeah,
at that point, it's just like inevitable.
Yeah, like I feel like it's gonna turn to shit.
Case in point, Castlevania, the first season, the first show. I thought it was phenomenal up until about season 4, where it was just okay. There's a lot good. The first 2 seasons are fucking amazing. Honestly, I shall accept no slander against that show for the first 2 seasons. 3rd season, okay, started to get a little shaky. 4th season, it feels like they really started to cheap out with some of the decisions they made, some of the writing, definitely the animation. I haven't seen the new Nocturne yet, but I've heard plenty of bad things about it, so I don't think I'm going to bother.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, it looks like shit.
But, it's... The core problem is you've got a lot of people who never learned the discipline to become a writer. You have to become comfortable with getting your ideas criticized. You have to have your ideas challenged occasionally.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that you can find out where the holes in your story are, where you can improve. And I don't feel a lot of modern writers have that maturity.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this shit also apply. Yeah, this shit is also really common in the. Stop me if you heard this before, but the MCU, like that's like the epicenter right there.
I mean, it's responsible for a lot of things culturally. They really should have stopped it after Endgame. Like, I know they wanted to milk like everything that they could, but they are tanking so goddamn hard.
Yeah, like God. I don't even know what's happening no more. But yeah, like shit. Yeah, Wheel of Time. Actually, no, the fantasy genre especially is getting fucking like Game of Thrones. Like I said, I already said that. Wheel of Time, that got brutalized really hard. Freaking The Witcher. Oh, don't even get me started on The Witcher. I feel bad. I feel bad for Henry Cavill. Man's a victim. Man's a victim. And so honestly, like like Henry Cavill legit got like tragic ass story. Like, Mans was a fan of comics, right? Became Superman. Realized that he had to work with Zack Snyder, so L. But then he was given a chance to play Geralt, and guess what? Henry Cavill was like, "Damn, I really, really love the books, and by extent the game. So I get to play as like one of my favorite characters ever." Boom, he does it. The show, I mean, the first season isn't the worst thing ever, but goddamn, does it get worse. And then Henry Cavill is like, "Guys, what the flip? What the flip?" He just kept getting mad that the writers just straight up blatantly admit that they are not fans of the books. And once again, Henry Cavill is like, "Guys, what the flip?" So he was like, "I'm tired of this," and then he left the show. He left the show because he realized that, oh my god, I get to play like my favorite character again, Superman. And then boom, he gets fired. Superman.
I do feel so bad for him, man. He's like, the man's king of the nerds. He plays Warhammer. He's into all this nerd culture. He looks like a genuinely good guy. And he's surrounded by assholes who don't have the respect for the material they're expected to work on.
Yeah,
it's just so fucking tragic.
Yeah, Henry Cavill actually like he actually like might be like ignoring like actual, you know, crimes and shit, like just strictly talking about like creative decisions. That's like top 10 worst creative stories like of all time. Like, oh god. And I know he's making a Warhammer show, but given his luck, I don't know if that's gonna go well.
I mean, I wish him all the best, and that might be the thing that finally actually gets me into Warhammer. Like, I've dabbled on some things, but right now my biggest investment or exposure to it is the cartoons that Flash gets put out.
Yeah. Like Warhammer. I at least want to get into Warhammer, but like at least like the lore, you know, like read it, like all that. I ain't never playing that shit.
I'm never playing it either, but you know, I'll read the books.
Yeah, like,
eventually.
I at least want to get into like the lore. But yeah, I never playing that because I have no money. I'm broke right now as we speak. To make like a figurine alone is probably like 100. Like, no, we don't got time for that. But God, I really hope Henry Cavill fucking, you know.
Oh yeah, man deserves it. He just come on, universe, give the man a break.
Yeah, like Jesus Christ. And so yeah, there's that. But yeah, like generally speaking, the fantasy genre has been kind of taking a hit as of late, and not even just the TV aspect, but the book aspects too. Like, I don't know, there hasn't really been any like straight up like superstars. Like, I don't know if you would count Joe Abercrombie. No, Joe Abercrombie kind of passed, right? Like he ain't really all that no more. I mean, he's still famous, but he ain't really the shit no more. And what?
When did that happen?
I don't know. I just don't hear much about him.
I mean, you might not hear much about him, but that doesn't mean his impact isn't still there. Like, oh, they are apparently working on a movie for Best Served Cold, which I am enthusiastic about, but also very cautious about because it's one of my favorite books in his world. I think it tells a revenge story in a very unique way, and for like Americans in general love a good revenge story. And I think Best Served Cold tells a revenge story in a very refreshing way that will sate the average American, at the very least, but will still have something a little deeper about it. At the same time, I am concerned not just because of the hackery of modern writers, but also because it's like the fourth or fifth book in the series overall. So there's a lot of, like, you skip the entire first trilogy. There's a lot of backstory in that world by this point in the story that we're not getting exposed to. Like, the war that Shivers is trying to escape, for example, like trying to make a new life for himself. You don't have the culture of the North that, like, he is trying to improve his life from. So like, there's a lot of context missing in that regard. God, why am I drawing a blank on his name? One of the central characters I'm blanking on has a long storied history. This the everything with the wizards. Fuck, man. There's so much that you're missing out on. The king. God damn it.
They're making a movie on. So yeah, they're making a movie on the 5th book. As why? I've never seen that.
It's
before.
like I think they're doing it because the protagonist is a woman, and they think that that'll be more engaging. And granted, she's a great character, but I do worry about the longevity of the project. This is something that they could have gone quite a while with this. If they handled this right, this could have been the next Game of Thrones. But jumping into the middle of things, I worry that we're just going to get a repeat of Firefly, where they tell the story out of order and then, like, it just kind of collapses. Like, this could have been an amazing, like, empire of a series, and you fucked it up.
Only the OGs remember Firefly.
Ugh, here.
But yeah, like, okay, well, maybe that movie might revitalize the decaying corpse that is known as the fantasy genre, or probably not, because I don't trust these people no more. Then there's like Jim Butcher. I don't know much about Jim Butcher. All I know is that he's an extremely hard worker. He did the Gentleman's the Cinder Spiral series, or whatever it was called, and then the Gentleman Bastard. I think he did that one. Yeah, the Gentleman Bastard. Haven't heard from him much. Haven't heard from him that much either.
Probably his most prolific series would be the Dresden Files.
Yeah, the Dresden Files. I don't know. So yeah, like Jim Butcher. He kind of looks like Taika Waititi. Jim Butcher. But yeah, and I guess if you want to mention her, we could say it, but Sarah Moss,
like, she's not the worst, but I'll just say here, I am planning on reading ACOTAR at some point for my videos.
Ooh, good luck. I actually was planning on reading some of her shit, but like, I have a general reading problem, which that's pretty bad because I want to be a writer, but what the little that I do read, like, you know, like snippets, like pages of Sarah Moss books, I'm just like, she has a weird way of describing things. Like, I'm a bullshit example, but she would say shit like, "Man, this guy's hair smells like how, like, the thunder cracking at, like, what are you saying? Like, what the fuck are you saying?" And also, like, the plots of these stories aren't really that engaging, to be honest. Or like, they don't sound engaging. Actually, let me. Also, that weird. Also, she was involved in like some, like, a little drama in the summer, where she basically released her second book. Hold on, let me kind of make sure of this. Sarah Moss's Crescent City. So yeah, okay, so she basically released her second book, or her third. Yeah, I don't even care no more. So one of those two, and apparently she she did like this weird deal, like she basically treated like a DLC pretty much, like, but like she released bonus or like extra chapters after like after the book came out, which I've never seen that before. But yeah, like, that's like some scummy ass behavior if I've ever seen it.
Huh.
Like, it's literally like a DLC. There was like a lot of people that got mad over it. One of my favorite examples of people getting mad over it is the author, Ryan Cahill. You know what that is?
I know of him. I haven't read his stuff yet, though.
Ryan Cahill is actually like one of my. I don't want to say hyperfixations because that sounds stalky, but but he's like one of the people that I like kind of research the most about in the moment, because he's basically everything I want to be. He has a he's not that famous, but goddamn, he has a fucking work ethic. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Actually, let me just show you this work ethic. Ryan Cahill books. Ryan Cahill, he's a fantasy author, like all the people I've been saying. Okay, so Ryan, let me just check his books real quick. So his first book, right, Of Fire and Blood, that came out in 2021, and yes, I have a very strong feeling that he stole that title from George, but we don't. That's okay. We can let that slide by. So, his first book, Of Fire and Blood, that came out in 2021. It is 542 pages. Like, that's pretty long for a debut novel. And not too long after, he decided to publish a novella called The Fall. I believe, he published that thing like fucking, oh my, Amazon, I don't like you, get out. Okay. Then he published The Fall, the first novella, in November of the same year. So yeah, he was going pretty quick. And then the next book he came out was called Of Darkness and Light. One thing about Ryan Cahill is that his titles are kind of shit, but we don't need to worry about that. So the second book he came out with was Of Darkness and Light, which is 912 pages.
God damn.
Like, only starting second book too. And keep in mind, the first book came out in February 22, and the second book came out in December 31, 2021. So, like, not even a year passed, and he already did that.
I mean, he could have had them pre-written. I don't actually know what his schedule is, but for him to actually have the discipline to make a coherent story,
people seem to like it.
At length is pretty good.
Yeah. Okay. If he did have it pre-written though, that kind of just means like he was just that fucking confident. Like, he was just that confident. And then after that, he released another novella. Okay, so now you can see the work pattern that he operates in. It's book novella, book novella, book novella. So then the next novella he made came out in May 21 of 2022. He probably had that pre-written for sure. Then the next book, then the third book, that book is, you're not gonna believe this. It is 1,500 pages long.
Damn.
And that book came out legit in February 28, 2023. So that means he wrote all that in like a year, basically.
Not possibly, but
still though, like he wrote a lot. And then his most recent book, The Ice, that shit came out like 2 months ago. So, and right now he's currently writing his fourth book. He's like 3 chapters in. I was like, so I'm like, okay, chill out. But yeah, his work ethic is absolutely bonkers, as you can see. And he's also really young, so his story is really inspiring too. And it also shows the power of unbreakable confidence, because he wrote all this, right? He self-published, by the way. He didn't even fucking go like for real publishing. He self-published. He quit his job. He quit his job, banking on the fact that these books would be successful. He had a girlfriend at the time, and who he married, by the way. Like they're still together. He basically dragged her into this, but thank God that he did, because now he's making money. So yeah, it's like a really inspiring story, right? And that's why he's like my hero, basically.
I'm good on him for it. That's awesome.
But one thing that you need to know about Ryan is that he has like a borderline conspiratorial nature against the publishing industry, like the big houses. And at first you're gonna be like, okay, chill out. But then thanks to Sarah Maas fucking ruining everything, Ryan has been proven right, like just a little bit, right? like the publishing industry is. That's why he's self-published, because he just actually he's very afraid, it seems. And to be honest, I kind of am too. If you get the chance, you should check out his books. Ryan Cahill, he's like a really fast growing author. I actually been trying to get in contact with him, but that shit hard. That's fucking hard. So he's kind of like one of my hero like inspirations. But overall, but he's not like big enough to like cause an impact yet. So like the fantasy genre is very much not alive. Like it's not doing too hot. So let's really hope that which is a shame too, because like fantasy is like one of the most versatile genres, I assume, right?
Broadly speaking, I would say that like fantasy and sci-fi have a very unique advantage as far as they don't have to stick to a lot of conventional world building rules or character rules. Like if you want to write a story about an alien species that regenerates by literally tearing itself in half, okay, you can do that. If you want to have a world where governments are decided by pie eating contests and try to make it in a way that that doesn't sound like a stupid joke, then you can do that. You're almost unlimited as far as what you can actually do in regards to fantasy. The problem is most, or I shouldn't say most, a lot of modern writers don't actually have the consistency to really follow through with all of their ideas. Like, they'll set forth in a point, like to use Light Lark as an example. You've got the wildlings. They survive by exclusively eating hearts.
Okay.
Okay. Well, let's dive into that. Now we have to consider how frequently do they need to eat hearts? Can it be any kind of heart? Does it have to be human? Can it be an animal? How do they farm these hearts? What is their food supply like? What has this done to their population? Because it doesn't sound like it would have a lot of too much in the way of supply, unless they've got like, I don't know, 1,000 cows or something that they can just dine on at a moment's notice. And there are all sorts of implications that go into this. Like, what if they don't get hearts? So they just start murdering each other? Do they have to go and pillage other lands in order to get these hearts? Such a basic idea has layers and layers of questions that the author cannot answer because she never bothered to think about them. She never thought about the implications. She never thought about the logical through lines of any of this, and it's like that for every single group in her book. The Moonlings are murdered by the sea every full moon. Okay, then why don't they move inland? Why are they anywhere near the coastline at all? It's like these are questions that don't take a lot of critical thinking to come up with, and yet the author never even considers them. And you can tell they don't, because I made a 7.5-hour video questioning them.
and a possible 20-hour video when the sequel comes out.
Oh god. Like, I'm not aiming for a lengthy video, but if it turns out to that, then so be it.
This shit like that, right? Like Light Lark. Also, I forgot what the name meant, by the way. Can you explain? Like, why was it called Light Lark?
Light Lark itself. Okay, there are two ways to answer that. One, Light Lark is the name of the island that magically appears every 100 years for the centennial, which is a ritual that exists purely for the sake of undoing the curses that were started like 500 years prior. Although the island doesn't actually magically appear, it's always there. They just can't get to the island for some reason. It's not clear. Again, she doesn't think it through. The other thing is, because it goes back to the union of some guy, some sunling, and the protagonist's ancestor, whose name was Lark. So, sun and Lark, light, Lark, get it? It's clever, we promise.
Hardy har.
Exactly. So, twofold answer there, and neither of them really work.
That is so. That you see, shit like this kind of makes me think of what, once again, my friend, the Twitter account I sent you, he told me, like, he's a really big fan of George R. R. Martin, and one thing that George R. R. Martin does, like that makes like his world unique, is that if you think about it, A Song of Ice and Fire really isn't all that. I mean, yes, there's like magic and shit, but in reality, it's really like bare bones. Like the world, like it's borderline like Earth, like in a way.
I'm gonna have, like, unless you've got a qualifier there, I'm gonna have to hard disagree.
You're gonna hard disagree with me. I mean, like, I've only seen the show. Like, the show definitely like cuts the magic more, but like,
wait, are we talking the show or the books?
The book, like apparently, like the book, like the show, the show definitely cuts more of it.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk shit about the show, I'm not going to stop you. Go nuts. The books,
like I know, but like from at least from what, because I haven't read the books, right? I've only seen the show, but from what he tells me, I get told that.
Okay, let me put it this way. I picked up the first book not really knowing what to expect with it. The first scene in the first book, you follow Benjen Stark as he's exploring the wilds north of the Wall. And at one point, he has to climb a pine tree, and everything is described so well that I swear I could feel the sap that was on his face against my face as well.
Damn.
Yeah, I am a fan. Like, I will criticize George R. R. Martin's current work ethic because where the hell is Winds of Winter, George? But the products that he has put out so far are stellar.
Yeah. Well, but so call me wrong for this, but at least from what I've heard, like from what my pal Josh fucking told me, he like the world, like, yeah, there's magic and shit, but compared to other fantasy worlds, it's pretty limited. Like it is like surprisingly limited. Like it's really restrained. That's the word I'm looking for.
Hard disagree.
Yeah, I'm not really gonna challenge that one because again I haven't fucking read the books, but
well, to take one small aspect, how many different religions are in the books?
What was the question?
How many different religions are in the books? Just religions.
I'm gonna guess. 55.
Not that many, but there's the Iron Islands. They have their own belief system. There's the Seven. There's the Two-Faced God. And these are all separate. One of the things that Martin did exceptionally well is he granted a degree of culture to all of his different kingdoms and realms. Granted, some of them do share these religions, but and various aspects of culture. The Seven Kingdoms, for example, are largely united under the rule of the Iron Throne, at least until the fighting really starts. But there is culture, there are beliefs, there are all sorts of motivations all over the place. You have backstories for chairs in this series. Like the scale of which, granted, can be beaten. I would say The Wheel of Time has A Song of Ice and Fire beaten in regards to like scale of culture and world building.
To be fair, George let that happen because he's a lazy piece of shit.
Well, I mean, I'd say it has more to do with the fact that Robert Jordan is a wordy motherfucker. and has a very, very, very expansive understanding of, like, I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil too much. Just the scale at which he planned this entire bloody universe,
Wheel of Time.
and the time scale. Oof, that's impressive. Also, Jordan spends more time on world building than characters, which I will criticize him on because, like, I gotta listen to the audiobooks on double speed because not a lot happens. It's good. It's vibrant. It's rich. Like the villages in the Wheel of Time books feel more vibrant than the world I currently live in, but it takes you a while to have anything fucking happen.
Okay, so he's a slow ass motherfucker.
It's very slow paced. I'm not saying they're bad. By no means am I saying they're bad, but like you got to go in knowing they're slow paced.
Okay, so, but yeah, I get told a lot that I gotta read that shit. The Ice and Fire, which I probably should.
The books are significantly better than the show.
Yeah, like that whole restraint thing that actually applies to the show, like 100%. Like magic gets taken out a lot, which weirdly enough, magic gets taken out a lot, but the Night King, I know that's not a thing in the books. So magic gets cut out, but then they retroactively make a more supernatural thing. So, okay, all right, guys, all right. And so there's that, right? And so yeah, there's that. Like, and I don't know if I don't know how true this is, but apparently, D&D, the creators, they like the reason why season 5, I believe, turned out the way it did is because despite still having some of the books left, like they had a bit of the books he used left, like they weren't completely run out, is because they really didn't want to use magic. So they actually just like chopped their own show because they really didn't want to use magic.
A shame, really, because I mean, I can't really speak of the show. I watched the first season and then never really went back to it. So,
damn, really, you didn't watch the show?
Nah, I read the books. That was good.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Well, I'm assuming the books are getting a resurgence though because of how Kaka the show ended. Actually, that being said, here's a funny joke. I'm probably wrong in this because you actually fucking read the damn thing. But is it true that the way the book ends, or like one of the last chapters in book 5, is Daenerys Targaryen is violently shitting on the ground?
I don't recall that.
Because I know I know I'm pretty sure that's a thing. No, it is a thing actually for sure. So if that is true,
I mean that could be something that I'm not remembering because I read the books like several years ago. So I'm sure there are things I'm forgetting.
So if that is true, right? If the book ends with Daenerys violently shitting on the ground, that means you either get a shit ending or a shit ending. Which, if that's the case, the Game of Thrones fandom is one of the most abused fandoms I've ever seen in my life.
Odds.
You either get. I mean that's true though. Like the show, like God, what the fuck was that? And the books are not done, so yeah, like I feel bad for the fandom. They're starving.
Well, hopefully someday.
Yeah, we'll get there. Actually, you know what? And also another reason why, me and my pal wanna like do a whole thing, like a empire, you could say, is because there's a certain person that is making us mad right now. Not because he's like attacking us directly. It's just like by principle. He's just very like it makes you want to be a better person. It's like you know, honestly, in the writing world, you could actually consider him a lol cow. You know, like the Empress Teresa guy. Like he's like the literary, maybe not to that level, but like he's pretty close, to be honest. Actually, no, I want to know about that. Like what, like well, how did you get like? How did you and the Empress Teresa like universe get embroiled? Like, what the fuck happened? Like, what decisions in your life have you made to get to that point?
What, as far as reviewing Empress Teresa?
Yeah, and like actually reading it with cynical reviews.
Well, I was actually reading it and putting out videos when CJ contacted me. I wanted to do an interview, and then it took about a year for that video to come out. It was a good conversation, though. See, Cynical Reviews is a really cool guy.
He's
And
also he's also another person that I'm trying to get in contact you. Please contact me. Please respond. Nah, I'm kidding. But yeah, like yeah, he's a cool guy. I like his channel. I like his videos.
yeah, but as far as why I started reading the books, it was one of those famous internet stories that I was always going to read eventually. But at one point, one of my fans reached out to him, I guess, to poke the bear a little bit. Something I don't normally encourage, but this one was just so memeable, I had to take advantage of it. So a fan reached out, said, "Hey, if you're so confident about your book, why don't you reach out to Crimson Rogue for a review to see what he thinks about it?" And then he called me a troll, and Norman Bouton called me a troll, and I was like, and then I took that personally.
Norman Bouton,
So
Norman Bouton is the actual author of Emperor series, right?
he is the author, yes.
Yeah, okay, I remember.
So I I just started reviewing his book, and it was much worse than I thought it would be.
Would you real shit? Would you say reading the entirety of what would you say is a worse experience? Reading Chris Chan's comics or reading Empress Teresa?
I never actually read Sonichu, so I don't have that insight.
You know who has read the comics? This guy. Me.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, to be fair, I didn't read them because fuck you. Instead, I just watched a 6 hour long video from this guy named Gibby, who is like the second ultimate Christian historian. The first one obviously being Gino. I watched, but the 6 hour long video, it basically told you everything. Like it told you the story, the like. So I basically read it. Pretty much. It even showed you like the pictures and shit. So I pretty much read it. And let me tell you. And let me tell you, what's interesting about the comics is that you basically get the whole Christian lore by just reading the comics. Like you can tell like the state he was in, and like and also the fact that he includes like so much of his real life in the comic. Like you can just read the comic and get everything you need, which is kind of concerning to be honest.
Definitely puts himself into his work.
Yeah. And Empress Teresa's like that too, if I remember correctly. Like it has like all that bullshit, like the classics.
In a different way, I think that Norman really more put his obsession into the story rather than himself. Because like he had that weird weird fascination with Helen of Troy. No, not Helen. Joan of Arc. So it's just some odd aspects.
Random thing to get obsessed over, but all right.
Like respecting her historically, I understand, but it's like she's been dead for 400 years, dude. She's not going to sleep with you.
I can just imagine like I can just imagine like like Pokemates and I can just imagine that before like historical like figures like like Cleopatra Cleopatra Sims like fucking Helen of Troy Sims. That's funny as fuck. But yeah, like, but the guy I was to talk about. Okay, it's probably not gonna be like as bad as I'm like forget what I said. Still pretty bad though. He's kind of like he's kind of a lolca. Like he's kind of like you're like the closest thing to it. And this guy, you might know him. He is the one, the only Patrick Rothfuss. Does that name
In
sound
the
familiar?
Name of the Wind.
There we go. You gave me the exact same response that ER gave me. So basically, so yeah, Patrick Rothfuss, he wrote Name of the Wind. I actually have that book. I'm having a hard time reading it though because, again, reading problems. But also, the book is written in first person past, and I don't generally like first person. Like I thought I could do it, but it turns out I can't. I couldn't get it was just very unengaging. Because like first person past is like the protagonist is basically invincible. So like why do I care? Like you know what I'm saying?
Early, there are all sorts of things that could happen to him. He could wind up mangled, traumatized, losing everybody that he ever loved along the journey.
I mean, yeah, but like in this case, especially, like it don't really matter because, like, I mean, in the beginning, like, oh, like, I mean, damn, like, pretty clear that, like, it's still pretty clear that, like, he lost everything. He's running some, like, quote the name of the character. He's running shitty ass bars. So, like, I still don't really care that much. Like, I'll still finish the book. I'll probably be, I might be proven wrong, but I'm just having a hard time getting engaged. But and it's just like the general principle of like first person path. Actually, I don't even like first person storytelling in general. Period. I don't hate it. I don't like. I could still read it, but it's just not my cup of tea. You know what I'm saying?
Personal preference. It's whatever.
And the main reason for that is because I realized that third person limited is kind of like the best form of storytelling because not only you could like ramble like a third person, but you could also like go hyper mega in the character's mind while still giving like a lot of detail. You know what I'm saying? And first person is like that, but like with less detail. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, there are ways that you could do either way. Both third person and first person have their own strengths. Um, in third person, you can get more exposure to different characters' perspectives a little more easily and organically, as opposed to having a single character centric story in first person. But in first person, you also have the opportunity of getting directly into the character's head, and depending upon the story you want to tell, there are different ways that you can really approach those ideas.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I've seen cases of this like being done right, but I just feel like third person storytelling, like third person limited, you can do that as well, and then some.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally fine to have those sorts of preferences. A lot of different things are going to have a lot of different uh, impacts on different people. So, I mean, the key thing is that you're actually reading.
Yeah. So, but like that's kind of like the main reason why I'm kind of struggling right now with Name of the Wind. But the main reason I'm struggling is the reason why I'm mad right now. So, get grab a snack, grab some popcorn or whatever, grab some fruity pebbles. I don't fucking know. Um, and yeah, you're about to hear me tell you. I'm not gonna go like 10 hours, but it's like still. So Patrick Rothfuss, famous author of
Mm.
the King Killer duology. He first started writing when he was rather young, but he took about fucking 10 years to write the first book, so that's already foreshadowing. But he did it. He released the first book in 2007. So, yeah, really fucking old, yeah. So yeah, and the first book did really well. Everyone loved it. It actually got to the point where Patrick Rothfuss became fantasy's first or like the fantasy's next superstar. Like, we reaching those levels. Like, holy shit. So blah blah blah. 5 years later, he released his second book. I think his mom died during this period.
That
Uh,
sucks.
so yeah. So yeah, pretty, but yeah, he still managed to carry on, and he released a second book, which was significantly longer than the first than the first book, A Wise Man's Fear. But hey, second two books now, and both of them did really well. So yeah, Patrick is, he might actually be fantasy's next superstar, and because George R. R. Martin was fucking dying at the time. That actually might have been true. So there was that, and then he next year, 2 years later, he was like, "Okay, guys, I'm gonna have the third book by this time." You could tell where I'm going with this. So deadlines have been missed already, but no matter. He released another book in 2014. It's a novella. The title of this novella is no joke. A slow regard for silent things.
Hmm.
That is not a good title. I don't like that title. It sounds too pretentious for my liking, but whatever. To each their own. And it did all right. Like he was Fantasy's next superstar after all. And then 2015, he collaborated with another author. Known deadline hitter, known prolific author George R. R. Martin. He teamed up with him to do a short story anthology series called Rogues, where him, George, and 18 other authors, basically one short story per author. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people were in that project too, like fucking Joe Abercrombie, he was there. Jim Butcher, Neil Gaiman, Neil Gaiman, George was just getting everybody. And the general theme of that book was like it's like rogues, like like the main character has to be like kind of like an asshole basically. But you could do whatever you want. Like you could go crazy. Like some books, short stories are as simple as like, oh, I'm gonna steal this box. But then some of them are as fucking complicated as like, in 2077, New Orleans has. So yeah, like you can go nuts. Patrick Rothfuss decided to do the. It was kind of funny, but Patrick Rothfuss decided to basically like his short story was not an original one. Like he didn't make a short story for the book. Instead, what he did was he made a short story about a character from his own fucking series. Like, so now a prequel, a backstory, by the way, of all things. So now I have to buy the book just to get more King Killer lore. Like, okay. So fine, be like, sure, whatever. During this time, he also became a streamer, and I also think he became a father, but don't quote me on that last part. Like, he is a dad. Like, if there's one thing that you can say about Patrick, he is a really good dad. Like, you can tell. Hold on, give me a minute. Sorry about that. So basically, yeah, he became a streamer. So you can already tell that things were just never gonna fucking get finished. And he still hasn't published the third book. He's wasting a lot of time now. Well, like I was saying, like if there's one good thing you can say is that he is a good father. You can tell that he loves his kids. At least he has that going for him. Like you could generally tell that he cares for them. So yeah, at least he has that. So then in 2016, there was this little event that happened. I don't know if you heard of it. Like, it was like an election. I think. Like, I don't know. It was like there was like two people. I don't know. Like two very minor celebrities. They were like doing an election for something. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. It was like Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. You heard of that?
It may have come to my attention. Yes.
Okay, yeah. It was a very minor event. So Patrick Rothfuss. So whether you agree with whether you are a Trump supporter or not, this was very retarded in my opinion because Patrick Rothfuss got a really, really bad case of Trump derangement syndrome. Like, it was fucking like, and he basically implied that he straight up implied that, or said, to be honest, like probably that he was gonna stop writing, or like he was gonna have a really hard time writing if Trump became president. Which okay. And during this time, there was also articles written about him like that, like, oh my god, the king killer women are like portrayed as like your classics, and so yeah, like he got really he got really taken down a notch, or whatever, from those articles, and Trump won. So now we're led to the implication that for the next 4 years he didn't write anything because he was just going through such a hard time or whatever. Like, he was still streaming throughout these years, playing video games, and apparently he was gonna get a King Killer board game, allegedly, and supposedly there was gonna be a TV show made about him too, made by the guy who did Hamilton. What's his name again?
Lin-Manuel.
That guy, yes. Well, one of those two. Like it was the like. Hold on, let me just make sure real quick. Who made Hamilton? Yeah, that guy. Yeah, thanks. So yeah, he was gonna make the TV show. That never ended up happening. So that's pretty rad. But whatever. So he's been wasting a lot of time now, and he even started dabbling in Dungeons and Dragons. And this is gonna sound really petty, but he's actually one of the main reasons why I'm a D&D fan. Like I love playing the game. When I'm not out there fighting crime or writing books, I play with my fucking comrades some D&D. But the reason why I'm kind of like I dislike the game now just a little bit is because of Patrick. Because Patrick has been wasting so much time, and I firmly believe D&D is one of the reasons. Because he keeps appearing in other people's shit. You know what I'm saying? Like in other streams and in other like he's wasting time instead of writing his third fucking book. And I think to myself, I'm like, damn, should I really be playing D&D? You get what I'm saying?
I mean, absolutely. It's he's in a situation where it sounds like he should be writing, but
yeah, like
he'd rather show up on fuck. Why am I drawing a blank on so many names today?
Like he'd rather show up on like Critical Role or something.
Critical Role. Thank you. Why did I forget that?
Yeah, Critical Role. I have my own beef with Critical Role, but that's for another time. But yeah, like basically, yeah, he'd be showing up in like Critical Role or like smaller channels, like okay. So he's wasting a lot of time, and also apparently there's been like your classic accusation stuff like, oh my god, Patrick is so fucking rude, like and also during this time there was a conspiracy that came about that he might not have written his own 2 books, which, not gonna lie, I kind of believe, but there's not. Yeah, I like, dude, how, like, George, I don't really have this problem with, because yes, he's dying really hard, but he wrote but George was already like famous before A Song of Ice and Fire, and he wrote and it is like 5 books, like, so that is like a lot. And George is always like involved in shit. It might not be his own books, but he's still always involved in shit. But Patrick, not only was he not famous before King Killer 1, but he just is so like lazy. Like he doesn't seem like he has such a disinterest with any like activity or like material that like it's like adaptations of his books. Like unlike George, like he just seems so disinterested. And also, this might not be the biggest piece of evidence, but he frequently forgets his own characters' names whenever he's doing interviews. And that's not necessarily like a killing gun or like a killing blow, because I also have a hard time remembering my own shit. But like with him, but like with him, it's kind of egregious because there's only 2 books. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's a bit easier to remember than like fucking 5. Um. So yeah. I don't know. And also during this time, his dad also died. Like Jesus. Like damn, both of his parents were just gone. So and the reason why this matters is because it's like not only is the death of your dad like obviously like really it's gonna shake your core, but it also seems that the moment his father died, the King Killer ideas just fucking just died basically. Like it just fucking halted completely. Like there was just absolutely it was a black hole like basically of ideas, which kind of suspicious, but whatever. So I'm kind of starting to believe that he didn't write the shit. But anyways, so yeah, continuing on 2020, there was a pandemic, you know. That somehow stunted his writing, which I don't know how because you're stuck at home all day. This happens for being a streamer, guys. So in 2022, 2022 or 2021. No, yeah, 2022. This is where things just get turned to shit. He basically did a bet with his audience. He basically was like, "So, I bet y'all, I bet that if y'all can't give me $333,333, that is the real number, like that is the canon number. If y'all don't give me that amount of money before I kill the Ender Dragon in Minecraft, if y'all manage to do that in that certain amount of time, I will release the first chapter of King Killer 3. And because people have been starving for fucking 12 years, they gave in and they gave him $400,000. They fucking Julius Caesar that shit. They fucking overkill. And so yeah, they gave him the money. And also there was like a bunch of other awards that like I can't remember at the moment. But so yeah, you may be wondering, hey, where's the first chapter? I've been asking that for 3 years. No, or fans have been asking that for 2 years now, or a year now. That's right. We have no fucking first chapter. He just scammed his fucking audience of 400,000.
Ugh. Yeah, it's not a good look.
That's like no, like okay. So the whole point of the charity stream. Well, yeah, I just said it, a charity stream. He was supposed to give it to his foundation called World Builders. There's some weird implications though that World Builders actually might suck, but I'm not gonna talk about that because I don't know all that. But yeah, like he basically just scammed his audience off of $400,000 to give it to a charity. That might not even be that good, and we don't got no first chapter.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Just there's a lot of videos though. Like it's pretty extensive. That's not all though. That's not all though. This is the last thing I'll say because this is the most recent event. So because it actually happened like 2 months ago. So basically, or 3 months ago. My bad. So basically, in this year, 2023, Patrick. So yeah, he's been dead for like 3 years. Like like after the like he's really trying his best to ignore the fact that he fucking scammed his audience off of $400,000. And he's like his social media was kind of vacant for a little bit. Well, I mean, there was the occasional tweet. He even did a reference to Creator Clash 2 this year, and but then he died, right? He died until May of 2023. He suddenly decided he suddenly announced that there was going to be a new book in the King Killer or not in the King Killer, a new book, right? People automatically were like, "Holy fuck, holy shit, King Killer 3?" And then like naturally, like people have been hungry. So then a week later, he did a live stream, right?
Mhm.
Basically announcing. This is a really short one too. It was like 43 minutes. And he it was a live stream basically announcing his like what was gonna happen. And a couple things of note is that he tries really hard. Like he's trying his best to ignore the fact that he scams his audience. Like he also does like the classic thing of like, guys, like turning on the camera has been really hard for me because I'm just like so anxious. Like he does that whole thing. And I wonder why you're anxious. Like, oh, I can't imagine. And also, I don't know if you would get this reference, but Patrick Rothfuss sounds really similar to Saber Spark. You know who that is?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. He sounds really similar to Saber Spark, which like that's just funny to imagine. But yeah, so Patrick, he sounds like a more masculine Saber Spark. Because Saber Spark kind of sounds like he's dying right now, to be honest. But that's whatever. He sounds like 2017 Saber Spark. Like that's when he was at his peak. So throughout the stream, he was just saying that shit, right? And then we finally got to the announcement, like the thing that we've been waiting for. And actually, you know what? I want you to guess what he announced.
That he had finally finished an outline for a book.
No.
He, for $400,000, revealed that he had gotten a new cat.
People would have unironically forgiven him for that, but no, that's not the answer.
Didn't work for was it DSP when he did that? But I don't know what to do.
All right, you're gonna want to slam your face in the desk for this one. So he basically announced. So remember how I said that he did a short story for George R. R. Martin? And how it was about Bast, like the bartender for fucking Koth. Yes. So this new book that was coming out this year that he announced, basically this book was a remaster of the short story that came out in 2015.
Huh. It is pretty underwhelming.
Yeah. So imagine you're a fucking, like, that means fans have been waiting 8 years just for that, just for a fucking remaster of a short, not even a novel, a short story.
Jeez.
And you want to know how much the book costs on Amazon?
$10.
$25.
Jesus, for a short story?
For the remaster, yes. And the remaster is a fucking novella, by the way. So that's like
that's egregious.
Yeah, and that's like at most 150 pages. So like, wow. So as of now, we don't know what George is doing, or not George. Sorry, Patrick. I don't know what Patrick is doing. Except for doing that book that's coming out in November. So yeah, that is the story of Patrick Rothfuss. Honestly, no joke, he might be the worst successful author, because there's this thing that I say, that I tell people, that there's a difference between being a good author and being a good writer. You can be a shit writer, but be a good author. That's what Sarah Maas falls into, because she's a shit writer, but she's a great author because she has an insane work ethic. You could even apply this to the Lightlark girl. Like, she's a terrible writer, but she's a good author because her work ethic is fucking insane.
I would say even more so E.L. James fits into that category because she knows how to market herself.
Yeah. That too. And fucking Jim Butcher, he's a, okay, well, I don't know much about it, but he could be a good writer too, but he's a great writer. Yeah, but he's also a good author because his work he publishes like 10 books a day. Stephen King. Stephen King's kind of 50-50. Sometimes he kind of just dies, but he also makes good books. But he's for sure a good author. So, but so this type of thing, I also say it about YouTubers too. Like, you could be a you could be a good YouTuber, or you could be a good content creator, but a terrible YouTuber. Like an example of this would be Corey Kenshin, for example. Like, obviously you know who that is, right?
I don't actually.
Damn, really? He's one of
Yeah.
the he's one of the fastest growing gaming channels of all time.
Don't know him.
If you look him up, you'll be like, oh, I know that guy. Yeah, I'm surprised you don't know him. But basically, if you're a fan of Corey Kenshin, then you would know that he takes he dies a lot. Like he like takes a lot of like there would be random moments in time where he would take like 4 to like a year to upload. Like it's actually like it's really bad. So Corey Kenshin is a good content creator, but he's a shit YouTuber. And unfortunately, this would also go to my pal ER. Like ER is a good content creator, but goddamn, he's a shit YouTuber. But yeah, and Patrick would also fall into this. He might be a good writer, and he probably is, but he's a terrible author. So this is like what, and that's also another reason why like I'm kind of like he isn't the main reason why I'm writing, obviously, but he's kind of like one of the main driving forces on why I want to be like on why I want to work. Like I'd say I write pretty fast, right? And I try my best to write fast and like to avoid like any redraftings and shit because I don't want to end up like this. Obviously, redraftings are good, duh, but sometimes you just die, like you just literally die, like Patrick. So, and I know you're kind of going through a hard time too with this. So, all I'm gonna say is that once you publish your first book, fucking keep writing because you don't want to end up like Patrick.
No, I'm not worried about that. I've got everything plotted out. My story Bible is like 40 pages long.
Actually, that's an interesting concept. A story, but like I hear that term a lot, like a TV Bible. What actually is that exactly? Because I look it up and I don't really get it.
It's effectively it's a series of notes and ideas and outlines and things that you've got for your book or show or whatever you're working on. In my case, it is a collected series of character themes, arcs, complete outline of all 5 books, a full world history of all events and major plot points, as well as various histories of particular artifacts and areas that the characters go to.
And it's 40, and your story Bible is 40 pages?
Yeah.
Is that like long for a story Bible, or is that like short?
I think it's long, but I don't really have a basis for comparison.
Interesting. I should probably use those because I don't use Bibles.
Well, it goes back to what I said about Lightlark. Hold on. It goes back to what I say about Lightlark and how Aster never actually thought about the implications of anything that she talked about. Well, I sat down and I obsessed about every single thing and explored it from multiple different avenues. Like I came up with, I'm trying to think of a basic example. No. So it's difficult to try to think of an example. Okay, so fuck. I'm trying to think of a simple example I can give, but everything I'm coming up with requires a lot of explanation. So I'm just going to say, every time I came up with an idea for something, I sat down and researched the hell out of it. Okay, one thing I can talk about. There is a sigil that characters have to swear an oath on in this book. It's called the Lumen Sigil.
Mhm.
The Lumen Sigil is composed of 8 different symbols arranged in a particular way. The arrangement itself is actually very significant, and the icons themselves required, like, just the icons required days of research.
Jesus.
Yeah, no, I went full in with this. There were like, I grabbed like 3 or 4 books just for the Lumen Sigil alone.
How
And it is a relatively minor aspect in the larger scheme of things.
and it took 4 books just to do that.
Yeah.
My God.
Yeah, no, when I say I obsessed about this stuff, I obsessed about this stuff.
I really pray on God this pays off, like generally speaking.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for, but we'll have to see. Anyway, I actually might need to wrap this up shortly. I'm being told dinner is about ready.
How much time do you have like right now?
About negative 30 seconds.
Goddamn. All right. Well, yeah. This is a pretty good chat. I had more to say. Like, I was gonna ask a question about like what were like things that you absolutely like swore on God that was like that basically you hated, but like other people liked. But now that's probably gonna be for another time. But it was great talking to you, Crimson. Actually, what's your real name? If you even said it in your
It's Kyle.
Kyle. Okay. So great talking to you, Kyle. If you want to follow my Twitter and also follow my pal's Twitter, so you can get updates on our shit.
Okay.
And so yeah, I'll see you. Hopefully we can chat again soon.
All right.
But without recording, like an actual like maybe like we can become friends or something. But yeah, I'll see.
It's all good, man.
But yeah, I'll hope to chat to you again. I'll see you later.
All right. Thanks for having me, man.
All right, bye.
Later.